Hello students, welcome to the sixth lecture on Introduction to Mathematica. In this lecture, we will discuss about numerical methods with Mathematica, and not only in this lecture but in next few lectures also we will discuss about numerical methods with Mathematica. The Not only using the inbuilt functions in Mathematica, but Mathematica can also be used as similar to the C programming or other programming languages. So how to use Mathematica as a programming language will be our major aim for the next few lectures, and we will also discuss the inbuilt functions for those numerical methods. Now, before discussing about numerical methods or programming, we will first discuss about looping constructs in Mathematica. Okay, looping constructs. Looping constructs are the most essential part of any programming language. Without this, any programming language is incomplete. Yeah, in C programming, as you have do loop, while loop, for loop, all this are known as looping constructs in programming language. In Mathematica, also similar to C programming, we have looping constructs. Now, while looping constructs are used for any iterative problem, okay, uh, the same task is to be done so many times with different updated values. So for doing that, looping constructs are very important. Okay, as you know that the numerical methods like bisection method, Newton-Raphson method, or any other numerical method for integration or for solving differential equation, almost all the methods are iterative methods. Okay, and for doing any of those methods you need looping constructs. Okay, so first of all, before discussing any other thing, we will start with looping constructs. So the first thing, looping construct which we will discuss is basically the do loop. Okay, the do loop. Okay, like in C programming we have a do loop. Similar to that, we have a do loop here also. So basically, what does do loop means? Doing the same task for so many times. Okay, so it is basically, the expression is written as, okay, do the action statements. Okay, it could be one statement, it could be a multiple statement. Okay, and the iterator. Okay, so basically this action will be performed. Okay, but for how many times? Depending on the value of iterator. So basically what this iterator will have the starting value, the final value, and the steps, okay, in which it has to go from the starting value to the final value. Okay, this is somewhat similar to the table function which we have seen in the earlier lectures. So basically I will take uh, a simple example of a do loop. So basically I will print something. Okay, so I am using a print function. This print function in Mathematica is similar to the printf function in C programming. Okay, so I will use print I. Okay, and then I will write a double inverted commas. Basically this inverted, whatever written in this inverted commas will be non-executable command. Okay, so I am writing a column and again a column and then I square. Okay, so basically you can see that this, whatever written in this inverted comma will be taken as non-executable, and these are all executable. Okay, and then I will specify the value of iterator. Okay, so since I is the variable here, so I is the iterator. So value of I will go from 3 to 21 in steps of 4. Okay, so the value of I will be printed and I square will be printed separated by a colon. Whatever written in this will be printed as it is. So you can see the value of I is printed 3, I square is printed, I is printed, I square is printed, and this is how this thing is working. Now like we have seen here in do loop that there is a iterator. Okay, instead of one variable there could be two variables I and j. Okay, so there will be an inner iterator and there will be an outer iterator, similar to what we have seen in in table function. Okay, so instead of I, it could be I into j, and I will be varying from here to here, and there, depending on the value of I, the value of j will change, similar to what we have seen in table function. Not only like this, but you can have a do loop inside a do loop. Okay, so basically you can write this action also as a do loop. Okay, so it will give you a nested do loop. Okay, so these are all the things which we can do with do loop, similar to what we were doing in C programming. Okay, many examples can be done. Now the other thing which I want to discuss, and which is more interesting than do loop, is basically the while loop. Okay, while. Okay, in while loop, first of all, there is a condition. Okay, and until and unless that condition is true, okay, the statements will be executed, and once the statements become when the condition becomes false, this will not be done. So I will take a very small example of a while loop, and a very important one. So basically, first of all, now I will specify the value of I and j. Okay, so let me clear all the variables first of all. Okay, now I will redefine the value of I. So let me take I is equal to 7 and j is equal to 1. Okay, so value of I and j is taken. Now I will write the while loop. Okay, so while the value of I is less than 10 to the power 3. Okay, until and unless the value of I is less than 10 to the power 3, print I is equal to, okay, in the inverted comma, so this will be printed as it is, then a comma, then the value of I, then again a comma, then I will write in inverted comma 2 colons. Okay, and then j is equal to, so this is again non-executable statement, then I will again press, okay, comma, then the value of j and a column. Okay, and I into is equal to 2. Okay, and j plus is equal to 2. So this is what it is. So what does this mean? Okay, this first thing which is written is actually the condition, that until and unless the value of I is less than 10 to the power 3, this will be executed. Okay, this part will be executed. Once the value of I exceeds 10 to the power 3 or becomes 10 to the power 3, then this statement will stop executing. Okay, so this is another variation of looping constructs. Okay, so if I execute this, so you can see that for the value of I, okay, and j is equal to 1, so it is first taken like this. Okay, so this basically means that first the value of I will be printed, and then I star is equal to 2. This basically means increment the value by multiplying it with 2. Okay, so this basically means I is equal to I into 2. Okay, and this basically means increment the value of 2 of j by adding 2. Okay, so this basically means I is equal to I into 2, and this means j is equal to j plus 2. Okay, so first the value, initial value is taken for I and j, it is 7. Okay, I is equal to 7, j is equal to 1. Then I is equal to I into 2, so 7 2s are 14, and j is equal to j plus 2, so 3. Then okay, again, since the value of I is less than 10 to the power 3, the next statement will be executed, so into 2 and adding 5. So this will go on until the value of 896. Okay, when then after that when you multiply, okay, it with 2, then the value exceeds 10 to the power 3, so the loop has stopped. So this is the advantage of while loop. Okay. Okay, so now we will discuss how to write a code for bisection method in Mathematica. So as you know that bisection method is used to find roots of a polynomial. Okay, so we will write the entire code for a bisection method, and I will show you how to write it. So first of all we have to define a function, okay, which is a polynomial. So I have defined f of x is equal to x cube minus 3x square plus 1. Okay, so this is my polynomial and I want to find the roots of this polynomial. So the first thing in bisection method which we will do is we will plot this function. So this plot is basically the inbuilt function to plot one-dimensional function. So f of x is basically a one-dimensional function. So I will plot f of x. So you have to first write the function which you have to plot, and then you have to write the variable, the range of the variable. So I am plotting the value of x from -3 to 3. So you can see that this is my graph of f of x where it is varying from -3 to 3. So you can clearly see that here there are 3 roots between -3 to 3. One root is lying here, another root is lying here, and the third root is lying somewhere here. And we want to find the numerical value of this roots. Okay, so here we can use bisection method or Newton-Raphson method or any other method like secant method and all those things. So I will be showing you how to write a code for bisection method. So first of all what we do is that suppose that I want to find the numerical value of this root, okay, where my pointer is, just see there. So first of all you have to take two guesses. Okay, the first value is where the value of function is positive and the other value is where the value of f of x is negative. So if I want to take find the value of this root, then I can take a is equal to 0 and b is equal to 1. Okay, so at x is equal to 1 the f of x is negative, and at x is equal to 0 this f of x is positive. So this I will take a is equal to 0, okay, where a is the point where it is the value of function is positive, and b is the value where f of x is negative. So b is equal to 1. So a is taken as 0 and b is taken as 1. Now I have to do it for multiple iterations. Okay, so after this what I will do is that once I will find this, then I will find the root. Okay, I will define root by r. Okay, r is equal to a plus b by 2. Okay, so what does root means? Root basically means the value at which the function goes to 0. Okay, so I have to find the value f of r, okay, where f of r will be equal to 0. Okay, and I have to find the value of r, okay, where f of r is 0. So for the I will initialize for the first iteration n is equal to 0, and then I will find r is equal to n of a plus b by 2. Okay, so suppose that it is here and this is here. Okay, so I will first find a plus b by 2. Okay, so it may lie somewhere here. Okay, then this value will be taken. Always keep in mind that both the values a and b should be in opposite. One should be in positive and one should be in negative. If both are in positive and both are in negative, then the method will stop there itself. Okay, so always keep that thing in mind. So I will first find the value of r. So this is the first value of r, a plus b by 2. So it is 0.5. Now I will be using the while loop, and using the while loop, okay, I can write the value, the program for bisection method. So what is the thing that this is my accepted tolerance. Okay, I don't want f of r to be 0 exactly, because that much be a very long process. Okay, so we have some accepted tolerance that it will also work that if I have the value of r is equal to not equal to 0 but near to 0.001, then also it will be acceptable. And the other condition which I want is that the number of iterations should not go beyond 30. So within the 30 iterations, whatever the result will be coming, I will accept it. Okay, so both of these conditions and these are separated by AND operator. Okay, so AND operator basically means that if this condition is satisfied or this condition is satisfied, okay, and if one of the condition fails, then the program will automatically stop. Okay, so while the value of f of r is greater than 0.001 and the value of iteration is less than 30, okay, then this thing will be executed. Okay, once one of this condition fails, okay, then it will stop. So the first thing is, if f of a into f of b is greater than 0, if f of a into f of r is greater than 0, then what does it mean? See, f of a is already positive, okay, and if f of r is also positive, then only this condition will be satisfied. So it basically means that f of r is also positive, so r will be taken as a. Okay, if this condition is not satisfied, then this condition will be taken. So this is how the if else condition works. Okay, there is a given condition. If this condition is true, then this will be satisfied. Okay, if this condition becomes false, then this thing will be executed. Okay, so this is how it works. And then the value of r will be taken again, and for the each loop we will print the value of n, we will print the value of r, and we will print the value of the function, okay, f of r. So you can see here that I will evaluate this whole thing. Okay, so you can see that, okay, for the first iteration n is equal to 0, r was taken as 0.75, and this was the value of f of r. Okay, what is the value of f of r acceptable for me? It should be near to 0.001. So you can see that it is nowhere near 0.001. Okay, the absolute value. I am not interested in the sign, that's why I have written abs. Abs basically stands for the absolute value. Then the second iteration where r is equal to 0.625, and this is, so basically it has gone up to 6, n is equal to 6, and you can see that here I have been reached to the accepted value of tolerance. It is now 0.000, and what was my tolerance? 0.001. Now suppose that I want to increase my tolerance, and I want more precise value. Then what I will do? I will add 2 more zeros, and I will again evaluate this. Okay, so now you can see that I have got more precise value of the root. Okay, and the iterations are n is equal to up to n is equal to 15. So the more the number of iteration, the more precise the value is. Okay, I can go more, and I can add 2 more zeros here, and the more precise value I will get. Okay, okay, so you can see here now n is equal to 21, but always keep this in mind that we have basically written a program where the value of n can also not go beyond 30. Okay, so it is working because it is n is equal to 21. Okay, if I take more precise calculation in which the value of iteration go beyond 30, then this code will not work. But you can also replace n is equal to 30 with n is equal to 50, and then the code will work. So basically, what is the good thing about writing the complete program by ourselves is basically that everything is under our control. We can basically set what should be the maximum number of iteration depending on what kind of hardware we are using, what should be the value of accepted tolerance depending on what is our application. These are all the flexibilities which you can get by writing your own program. Now I will talk about a very superior internal inbuilt function which is in Mathematica, which is used to find root, and the name is basically find root. Okay, this is basically uh, an inbuilt function which is very helpful in finding roots of a polynomial or of a function. So basically I will use the same function which I used for the bisection method. So it was basically x cube minus 3x square plus 1, and the syntax is that first of all you have to write the function, and then you have to write a comma, and then you have to write the value of x near where you want to have a root. So basically if you see that if I want to find the value of root which is near minus 1, okay, so I will get the value of this root. Okay, so basically if I write x comma 1, okay, so there is a nearby value where I want to find the root. So I want to find the value of x near minus 1, root near minus 1. So let me find it. So you can see that at x is equal to minus 0 point this value, this will be found. Okay, so if I want to find this root which we have found using Newton-Raphson method, then I will write near 1. Okay, the root near 1, so I will replace 1 with minus 1. So if I execute this, so you can see the value of root is 0.652704. okay, and if you see this value which we have got at n is equal to 21 iteration using bisection method, this is the same value which we have got. Okay, so this is how this inbuilt function to find this roots is used. So this is also very useful.